Welcome, everyone. We are live on this lovely Tuesday morning, right here on Fanbase, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And as you can hear, he is also ready for the day. Today's topic: wise use of imagination. You see, as we're going through the day, we encounter different people and situations and things, okay? But remember, we encounter those things because we've been thinking about them, whether deliberately or unwittingly. Whether you've been thinking about it consciously as saying, oh my God, I don't even know what this is. How did this even get here? You're thinking about it like that, or you're going about your day and you don't know what you're thinking about. Either way, you're going to respond according to that mood or that state you're walking in. But here's the part to always remember. If what you have encountered has made you upset, listen, stomp it out, scream it out, shake it out, but get it out of you, okay? Just get it out. You'll feel better once you get it out. For real, because you're human. But once you get it out, recognize something. All you did was move the energy instead of having it trapped somewhere in your body. You just moved it. But now let's give it this thought. When you acknowledge what you've just gone through, you said, okay, look, man, I am pissed off. That's great. Acknowledge that. But then remember why you're pissed off. Remember that you're pissed off because you are in a state. And the state that you are in, you can only behave according to it. So if you are in a cranky state and you're arguing in your head and see what you're doing with your imagination, creating arguments, creating what if scenarios. Now, when you recognize that that's what you've done, what do you want to do? Do you want to remain as you are? Or do you want to move to a different state? Remember the lecture last night. Neville says you can move states within 30 seconds. By doing what? Well, what would it feel like to feel better? This is the part I will keep telling it to us and telling it to us until we do it. Okay? Because it is a daily commitment. It's a daily commitment. For instance, if you're dealing with disappointment, people tell you in the world, well, don't expect anything and you won't be disappointed. Those are people who allow the law to just carry them about wherever they're going unwittingly because they don't know that the law exists. But for those who know that the law exists and they align themselves so they can optimize the use of the law, they don't think in terms of disappointment, no expectations. They think in terms of, wait a minute, what do I want to experience? And they know that the thing felt. The moment this is why. What would it feel like if? Do you see that you are already doing that? The moment you stop yourself and you entertain different scenarios about who you will cuss out, who you will tell off, who you will say hello to, you see, you've played out the scenario. But the one scenario that you feel the most potently, that is the state you're in, and that is the thing you will act out. So to have wise use of the imagination is to entertain the good. Not always quote unquote good and evil, but entertain what it is you want to experience. Entertain what it is that you want to experience. For instance, remember Neville says, wherever you are, that's where God is, and where God is holy. So wherever you are, You don't have to wait to burn sage. You don't have to wait to do any of those ritualistic things. It is the recognition of what you are doing. And if you pay attention to it, you will clearly see what you're doing. And without judgment, you will change. This is also part of the equation. Without judgment. What does it serve you to sit there and, oh, why do I keep doing this? I'm such a loser. Nobody likes me. I have to try a little harder. What purpose does that serve? Well, it plants seeds that you will have to reap going forward. So make wise use of your imagination. If you are going to imagine anything, and I know when I use the word imagine, we think it is so far. As I've told you before, everybody is using their imagination all day, every day. Some in a more disciplined fashion than others. If you have a seamstress, they see designs. Where do you think that is? Imagination. They're seeing it. The tailor, he sees a suit, same thing. Baker, they see the cake, they see the beignets, they see them in their mind's eye. Listen, some of them are so good they can taste what they want to make. Some of them are so talented they can smell what they want to make. They're using all of their senses. That is your imagination. Even the mechanic. When you take a mechanic your car, at least I know for my father, because that's his first trade. He was a mechanic first. All he had to do was hear the engine, and he knew what needed to be repaired. That's why you just need to hear the engine. Why? Because he spent so much time listening to engines, right? He was doing it. So that intuition, because what you hear the most, you say, oh, that's what that sounds like. Oh, yes, that's what that looks like. Right? They can grasp it right away. But where are they grasping it from? Within. So imagination is on the inside. Look at the word, the letter I, inside. Image. In order for the image to show up on the outside, it has to have its origin on the inside. So don't get caught up by the word imagination. It's not child's play. It is humanity's play. It's how we roll. It's how we do it every day by use of the imagination. But wise use of the imagination is to entertain those things that you want to experience. You see, if you entertain the thing you want to experience and then flip it and go, oh, but what if I can't? Okay, I'm going to imagine it now. But what if I can't? You see what you're doing? You're vacillating like a fish out of water, how it flops back and forth. Choose one of them. One of them will cause you to use your quote unquote faith. But you're not just having faith blindly. You know that whatever it is you entertain or imagine, you will encounter. You know this. Right? And it's the way you feel about it that confirms to you, yes, that's it. But the other side will cause you to linger in your doubt. And well, the word would tell us to repent. Repent, yes. To repent means to have a radical change of mental attitude. You have to be bold enough to look at your doubt and say, I know that you're there. It's okay. But I'm going to go over here. I'm going to choose this one because I really want to see what happens. I know what happens when I doubt. I don't get it. But I want to see what happens when I believe and have faith. That's how you deal with it. Because we already know how doubt turns out. But how does faith turn out? Are you not curious? So make wise use. Make very wise use of your imagination, how you use it. There's a reason. You know it. Because what you entertain is what you experience. And let me say it this way, what you entertain with feeling. Now, if it didn't make you feel a particular way, you would not have entertained it in the first place. So don't get caught up. The feeling is always there because the feeling is the corresponding effect. As within, so without, as above, so below. So the feeling tells you what you are entertaining. So the feeling is always there. You don't have to go looking for it. It shows up because it is the effect, the corresponding one. Right? So make wise use of it. And you see, for those who live in the world and just allow themselves to be moved to and fro by life, it looks natural to them. It looks as if it's just happening. Well, it is just happening, but they don't know that they can change it. And it just looks like, well, this is the way it is, so I got to make the best of this. Whereas if you live by way of law, you can look at the situation and go, I have the ability to decide how I want this to go. Now, what am I going to entertain? How do I want it to turn out? That's what we do, day in and day out. Don't deviate from that. Because quite frankly, as I've told you, as I tell you until I am blue, you are already doing it. You're already doing it. You are already imagining. So if you're already imagining, be deliberate about it. Take the reins. Does this make sense to you today? Right? Make sure that you're being deliberate. Let us take a brief moment, shall we, to welcome everyone into the space this morning, because Hilarion has a question. A-Not is here, Sugar Visions, Asanya. They are here in the chat on YouTube and Facebook. Who's on Fanbase this morning? Butterfly, hello. Joaquim is here. Zeesty, Miss McQueen, hello, beautiful. It's been a minute, hasn't it? Flo smiles. Fawn, Matthias, Oracle Treehouse, Shea Butter. They're here on Fanbase. Beloved Love Troll and Hilarion. Hilarion, I'm going to trust you. Let me see if Twitter is going to. Zile. Hello, Hilarion.
Blessings. Thank you.
What's going on this morning? Go ahead.
Mutual love. How do you imagine mutual love?
How do you imagine mutual laws? Is that the question?
Love.
Oh, mutual love. So when you're talking about mutual love, you're saying you want to be in a mutually loving relationship, correct?
My love for you, your love for me.
Okay. I think I understand your question. When you want to be in a loving relationship, the first step is to recognize it, which is what you've done. The second step is to create a scene that would confirm to you you are in a loving relationship. Now remember, sometimes people, we all do, we tend to fixate on a particular thing or a particular person. You must be able to distinguish between persons and states. What you want is a mutually loving relationship. That is the state you want to rise in every morning and rest in every night. That is the state that you want. Now, whatever face that person wears that matches the state will accommodate, because we have certain likes and dislikes. We're not going to go outside of those likes and dislikes because we've conditioned ourselves to those likes and dislikes. So if you like red hair, you like blonde hair, you like brown hair, you like an afro, you are going to get that in the person. So you create a scene, a short scene that confirms you are in your desired mutually beneficial relationship. Who would see it first? Would your mother see it? Your father? Your friends? Who would see it? And when they see it, what would they say to you? Oh my God, you guys are so well suited. Good for you. I'm so happy for you. Would they say things like that to you? If they would, then when they say it, I'm so happy for you, what does it make you feel like? It makes you feel satisfied that, oh my God, they see it too. And when you recognize that that is the scene, because that's what you would say or hear, the congratulations about your relationship, that is the scene you fall asleep with. That is the scene you wake up to. Reason being, and you don't do your best to not doubt the scene. Why not? Because what you are doing is the exact same thing the baker does, the potter does, the seamstress and the tailor. They have an image in their mind's eye, okay? And they hold fast to the image so they can cut it out in the material or roll it out in the dough. So you don't doubt the image you have in your mind's eye. Don't doubt your image. Remember, it is always a state that you are wanting to accomplish. Not a thing per se, but a state. Because the state is what confirms to you that you have what you want. It's a matching state you're seeking. You understand? So if the state is satisfaction, then what you encounter will bring you the satisfaction. Remember, quote unquote, cause and effect, the law of reversibility. You can use a feeling to bring about a thing, and you can use a thing to bring about a feeling. I trust that that answers your question. Recognize what you want and generate the scene that matches it, because that is your state now. And you move in that state mentally, day in and day out, until you believe in it. And when you believe in it, you'll know. When you believe in the state, you will know because of how it feels. You will go from, but what if that can't happen? What if that's too far fetched? And you will go to, wow, that's peaceful. It is done. Self persuasion. I trust that that makes sense to you this morning, because that is a beautiful question, because that's the question that everyone has. What do I do if I know what I want? And the reason I say embody the state, you cannot embody a person. When we try to embody a person, you've heard the word unrequited, have you not? Unrequited means that feeling is never satisfied, and you're left longing and wanting and pining for something. And when you allow yourself to linger in that state or mood for too long, you will do foolish things. It creates desperation. So this is why you go for the state and not a person. It's different if you see a house or a car, because those things are inanimate objects. But a person has its own way of thinking, its own way of being. They have their own free choice to make. So you never put yourself in a position to become desperate or to embody a desperate state. Don't do that to yourself because it doesn't feel good. Does this make sense to you this morning, everyone? Because if you think about it, I could sit here and pine and long for Henry Cavill my whole life. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't ever meet him. But really, what is it that I want? Do I want him or do I want the state of what it makes me feel like? That's the difference. Being able to recognize a state and not the face that it wears. So, this is why we make good use of our imaginations. We do not allow it to just flit about. You rein it in because it is such a powerful thing. It's like a Cyclops in X-Men, where he takes off his shades. It's just, and he does, if he doesn't close his eye, what happens? His eyes, what happens? The laser just goes everywhere and it is destructive. That's the power of the imagination. So, in order to have it go where you want it to go, you understand? You must rein yourself in. How? By thinking the way you want to think, by feeling the way you want to feel, instead of reacting to the things that are on the outside. That is how we temper or discipline ourselves. Notice the word temper as you temper steel. But to temper the self or to discipline the self is to become focused, giving your attention to specific areas instead of being pulled to and fro in every area. That is how we harness the power of our imagination by wise use of it. And remember, there's no judgment. But Neville says in order to ward off judgment, live by way of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But you see, funny enough, in society, that's looked upon as a weakness. Because people say, well, that's like going up to a lion, and because you didn't eat the lion, he won't eat you. That's a lion. We're talking humanity. We have greater control, far greater control. Actually, sometimes I wonder, because he can stalk his prey and he knows just when to move. So he is disciplined in the hunt. He is. He's also disciplined in the play with his cubs. So don't get it twisted. Right? There's no judgment if we live by way of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is not a sign of weakness. But you know how we live instead? Let me do to you before you do it to me. But do you know what would cause you to do that? The state or the mood or the mental attitude that you are living in. Because if you feel that somebody is about to take advantage of you, but think about that state. It's a fear state. Oh, they want to take advantage of me? I'm going to get to them first. That's a state of fear, a state of mistrust. That is no way to live because now you see, you perceive an enemy in everyone. But if you do unto others as you would have them do unto you, now you perceive a friend in everyone. Perception. How are you seeing the world? So, I trust it makes sense this morning. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat here on Fanbase. Hey, Jeff. I see you. So I trust that this morning That makes much more sense to each and every one of us. Ah, Dajane. Oh, KZ and Felix and Brittany, I see you all. Um, I trust it makes sense. And that we will make wise use of our imaginations. What are you thinking? If you don't know what you're thinking, what is it that you feel? How does your chest feel? Or, in other words, how does your bosom feel? Is it tight? Are you fretting? Are you pacing? That tells you exactly what you feel like, right? And when you can clearly see what it is that you're dealing with physically, well, now you know which way the thoughts are going. And now you've pinpointed your state that you're in. And if you don't want to be in that state, what state would you prefer? What things can you entertain in your mind's eye? Because the moment you entertain it and feel it in your mind's eye, that new one, you've just put yourself into the new state. But because the new state feels kind of funny at first, like a new coat and you think everybody's looking at it, we tend to slip out of it again and go back to what is familiar. But if you persist in the wearing of your new state, it will begin to feel more and more natural to you. And when it feels more natural to you, that's when you will encounter it on the outside. Because as within, so without. Every seed bears fruit after its own kind. So, whatever mental seed attitude you have, that is the physical fruit you will experience. Hello, V224. It's good to see you, my dearest. I trust it makes sense, honey. I trust it makes sense to you this morning. So, as we hear the bowl, you might get birdsong, but he seems to be on snooze. When you hear the bowl, can you recognize the state you're in? The mental attitude that you occupy? If it doesn't feel good to you, which mental state would make you feel better? Entertain that. See how long you can entertain it. How many times throughout the day can you put it on? hmm You know, us ladies, if you wear foundation or such, you have those little blotters. Like if you shine in your T zone and you put the little blotter on. How many times a day do you have to apply the blotter? But you make time for that, don't you? Right? So okay, I can't let the gentleman escape. If you have a beard, how many times a day do you make sure there's nothing caught in it? Hmm? See? So when you are entertaining your new state, how many times a day do you go back and entertain it? You see, your state, your mental state, mental mood, mental attitude is quite like personal grooming. It must be done. Hmm? Indeed. Hopefully, we brush our teeth or we make our dentist very wealthy. Maybe we stretch and we walk. Yes. Who wants pain? You see, we do it, don't we? So then it is the same thing for checking your mental attitude, your mental mood. Same thing. Yes? Anyhow, let me get the bowl for us. And again, as you hear it this morning, Impossible Birdsong, can you identify your mood? And if that mood is desirable to you, well then, revel in it, bask in it, spritz yourself in the smell of it. But if that mood is undesirable to you, move. How do you move from one mood to the other? The way it makes you feel. The way you make me feel, right? How does it make you feel? You want something to make you feel better? You want to think of something that makes you feel better? Then choose that. And then bask in that. And see how many times you can bask in it. throughout the day? And for how long can you bask in it? Until it becomes natural. Yes? Let's get the bowl. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, V224, beloved love troll, and the Hilarion. Thank you all for being here on Twitter. As always, I look forward to seeing you every day. And remember tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you are still awake. We have the lecture for tonight. I don't remember the name, but it is sure to be a good one. Much love, Jeff, dearest, Anot, Sugar Visions, Asanya, and the others who've not made yourselves known here on YouTube and Facebook. I see you. I see you. So much love to you. Mm-hmm.